Hello, Athens. This is Nan Michael, co-producer of Athens Kaleidoscope, and I'm here today with a surprise, co-producer Jane Penwell, aka Motormouth.
Your partner in crime.
And Jane's going to lead off today because I've got an awful lot of great videos and she likes to talk, so I'll be kind of quiet today.
We'll see about that, won't we? Well, I was just talking with Nan, who, by the way, is a psychologist, so this was a good topic to talk to her about. But I've been hearing in the news lately, and even here in Athens, about young people, and by young I mean in their 20s, who are being diagnosed with, overcome by schizophrenia, and with very terrible consequences for most of them. And there was an article in People magazine, Olympic fencer dies at 29. Ivy League alum Kamara James competed in the Athens Games at 19. Friends recall her struggle with schizophrenia. After a crippling battle with mental illness, Karma James, 29, was found dead September 20th in the Modesto, California apartment where she lived alone. Born in Jamaica and raised by a single mom in Queens, James began fencing at 9. So she was obviously very talented, very driven, won international titles by 18, represented the United States in women's épée at the 2004 Olympics. She was incredibly brilliant and a hard worker, says her mentor, Eric Rosenberg. Then in her senior year at Princeton, she was diagnosed with schizophrenia. So that would make her 21, maybe 22, something like that. With help of medication, she was able to graduate. And along with another person, she opened a fencing club in Greenwich, Connecticut. She was vibrant. She had dreams. But her 20s were marked by more time in hospitals. She would get better, be released, and there was no support. She was sometimes found homeless, emaciated, unkempt, and delusional. And there's another girl that this is happening to that some of you may recognize her name, Amanda Bynes. She was kind of a child star, you know, in a couple of, I think, Disney productions. And she has been completely off the rails here for a couple of years, and luckily for her, her parents have gotten guardianship over her, and she's been hospitalized several times. But every time she gets out of the hospital, she doesn't take her medication, and she's evidently goes back into a delusional place. So these young people who are being diagnosed with schizophrenia at really the crucial age, you know, for a person to get a life started, to get a career, you know, to begin. It's really sad to me. And Nan and I are just saying, I was saying, is there more? Is this happening more? Or am I just hearing about it more? You know, maybe there's a percentage of people in the population who will have schizophrenic episodes, and maybe that percentage stays the same. I don't know. But it seems to me like I'm hearing more about it, and like it's becoming more of a problem than I ever knew of it to be in the past. So what do you think, Nan?
Well, you know, in Athens, if you or your loved one gets diagnosed with schizophrenia or any mental illness, do you know what the next step is?
No.
You don't?
No, I don't.
Oh, all right. It's NAMI. Have you heard of NAMI?
I have vaguely. I vaguely know. When I worked in the prisons, NAMI would come in to the prison that I worked in and work with some of the people who were incarcerated and had a diagnosis, you know, for some mental illness.
Well, NAMI is the National Association of Mental, I guess, illness. But their purpose is to destigmatize mental illness, which they refer to as brain disorders.
Mm-hmm.
And I covered a NAMI-sponsored speech last night at the library.
Wow.
It was by a multiple personality.
Mm. Interesting. What was it? What was that movie? Eve, remember? Famous.
Well, NAMI sponsors, they have for several years at the library in cooperation with the Friends of the Library, talks by individuals who have experienced a mental illness. And they've had two on the post-traumatic stress disorder connected with service.
Mm.
And they've had, of course, depression and schizophrenia and manic depression. And public access has played those talks. And the NAMI internet address probably has copies of those or has them on their website, as do we. And but early adulthood is the typical time for schizophrenia to manifest itself.
It is, and I'm wondering, like in Athens, Ohio, if I have a friend, or I know somebody, or a coworker, I know somebody, and they seem to be exhibiting some evidences of bizarre behavior, what would you do? How could you help that person? Because anymore, you cannot force someone to be hospitalized or get treatment or...
Unless they're clear and present danger to themselves or someone else.
Right, exactly, yes. So, just say somebody is beginning to experience this particular disease and they don't recognize themselves that, these things are internal, happening to them. They are attributing them to outside forces, let's just say, which I think it would be logical that you would do. How many people are going to say, oh, I think that's just a delusion that I'm having? That's probably not going to happen.
If you say, oh, I just think that's an illusion you're having, you're in bigger trouble.
Yeah. So what,
Folks are very resistant and defensive about their behavior, and I don't know, lots of luck on dealing with that. People who are troubled are usually open to friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And well, that's what NAMI, one of the things NAMI does is provide friendship and support for the families of people with these troubles.
And I think another problem is many times people don't want to take medication. Medication is prescribed, and for whatever reason, they don't want to take it. So they seem to slide further and further away from the norm, because they're not taking their medication. And there again, you can't force anybody to take anything unless you have them in a hospital setting. Even in the prisons, you couldn't really force. They had a better chance of trying to get somebody to take something, but they couldn't really, tie them down and force them to take it. So that's another problem I hear people say.
Well, in a number of cases, medication is still certainly indicated, but there are some new treatments that have been developed, and NAMI has classes to teach some of these people Not long ago, the library had a speaker on not bipolar, borderline personality that used to just think it's completely insolvable. And recently they have come up with an excellent treatment approach to that. So NAMI stays on top of these things and supports, and they have groups. Groups are very important.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, and then like you said, they help the families, and I think for a lot of families, this is something they know nothing about until a person in the family begins to exhibit some of these situations, and they don't know what to do. You know, where do you go? Where do you get help?
Well, I think we'll have to have a member of the NAMI board be with us to entertain us in the studio one day soon. And
answer questions.
And to lighten the subject just a little bit, let me take you to a brief episode at Friendly Paws Wednesday night.
Oh, was it Halloween at Friendly Paws?
Yes.
Oh, how cute.
Yes, not paupers. A year before I put down this was in paupers.
No, Friendly Paws.
Yes.
Maybe wait and let him get comfortable first.
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
You know, I think he can actually like tell that there's cameras
Something
on him
going on.
sometimes,
Aww.
or like he's very camera sensitive.
Aww.
Interesting.
Oh my goodness, buddy.
Baby.
All right, get away from the camera. I know, right? Jasmine's like, who is this?
No,
You?
Back up. Back up. Seriously, Gus. Back up. Good job, Gus. Down.
I don't know what's
That's right.
going
Good job,
on.
Gus.
You have me explode.
Can you turn around? Gus, he just stage fright.
But he did it as good.
Good job, Gus. At
Oh, I
first
missed
you were confused.
Yeah, he's
but
pretty
that's because
good.
you were just
Yeah.
nervous. It's okay, Gus.
You do a good job, buddy. You want another one of those? It's delicious. Down. Down. There you go, good boy. Sit. Sit. Good.
Wow.
You're so good. Yeah, right and left. Oh,
Or
good.
just one way, I guess.
Okay.
Gus, actually, he won an award for the backup trick.
Where?
Just like in the city, I don't know, dog walk thing that they had one year, and they had like a contest. I mean, I just used the clicker method, and he does.
Speak. Oh my gosh.
Good one.
That was awesome. What do you
Turn
say
around.
for turn around? Good boy.
He really likes.
Back up. Oh, that was a good spin. Back up.
This is this, I think. Is it?
Oh, what is it? Back up.
Or just say
Back.
it, but he. All you have to do is say it.
Back.
Oh, that's a
Good
good
boy.
one.
Down. 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 Good boy.
That is a good try.
Yeah, he's so good. You're a good speaker. Yes, you are. You want one more? I got one more. You're getting your foil tonight. Look, here it is. Here you go. You don't even have to do anything. Yeah, that's our good boy. You don't even have to have a bath today while you're here.
No, he's good.
Yeah, maybe that's what he's nervous. That's like in the back of his
Oh, yeah.
mind. He's like, I had a nightmare last night. Come we can get a bath.
Speak.
Good. Aw.
It's like a hairnet.
Did you have anything else to say?
Well, of course. When have I never had anything to say. I have to be
Never not had.
never not had anything to say, right? I have to be anesthetized probably. But what I was going to say was I was at a friend's house last night for trick or treat, and her dog had a costume.
Oh, good. So we get some of your footage.
Footage, no.
Oh, listen.
Sorry. You'll just have to listen to me describe it.
That is the most frustrating thing to people at home, to hear you describe. I remember when you went to some island and you described the view out your window of your room.
Right.
And we couldn't see any of it.
Well, I thought about it, but my cell phone camera battery was dead, and I didn't have a camera. Lucy's a Yorkie, so she's about this big, and she weighs 8 pounds. And she was a, ta-da, ladybug. She had little wings, a ladybug. And she had little wings. She looked so cute. But what I was going to say was, I am so impressed with a lot of the costumes that the kids had on. A lot of them were very creative and homemade, which you don't see, very often anymore. Homemade costumes. This one girl was a wedding cake. And a series of boxes, a big box and smaller, and all decorated. And another little girl was, I'm not sure, a Greek goddess, I guess. And she had made her costume. She was only about, I say, 8 or 9 years old. And she'd used real leaves and made a wreath for her head. And, I was really impressed with some of the kids and their ingenuity, and some of the parents, too. Mm-hmm. Some of the parents, I think, were enjoying Halloween more than the kids.
Oh.
They got all dressed up. But so anyhow, I just want to say that I think Halloween in Athens is fun because, the trick or treat is just an hour. So it's not a horrible, long, drawn out, it's just an hour. The kids get to show off their costumes.
Did you go down to Court Street?
No, not this year.
How can you say that Halloween in Athens is great if you don't participate in Court Street?
Well, I mean, Halloween in Athens minus the university, let's say that. Outside the university, the regular
You worked for
trick-or-treat
the university.
Kids. Well, yeah, and I understand the kids are going to have a Halloween party, but I didn't go, and I'm not into that. So I'm talking about kids here, the traditional trick-or-treat for children.
Oh.
I think goes really well in Athens, and I really did enjoy it. And I encourage anybody, if you haven't, you have to come next year and bring your camera. How about that?
I brought my camera with Alexa. She was taping out the windows. We drove past several OU parties, and all I had to do was toot the horn or yell out the window, and they all toasted us.
I'm sure. Hey, if you want to do a window next year, let me know, and you can use the window in my office. It looks right out on Union Street.
Oh.
Yeah, it is.
Too bad they don't go down that way.
They do. Oh, they do. Yeah.
Well, that was pretty near the shot that was fired.
Yeah. So I heard. Well, and let me say this too. A couple of years I've gone up to Court Street for an hour or two and been really impressed with some of the OU kids' costumes and their ingenuity.
Oh, you did go up to...
Not this year, but in the past
In the past, okay.
And some of the OU kids' costumes are fantastic too, and made by them. But some of them, not so much for me.
Well, I remember one year when I was on Court Street, there was this man with bare legs and an overcoat.
Oh, yeah.
Like this, and he said, get me, and he said, you don't have to be afraid. And then he opened his overcoat, and I didn't let my camera go down below the waist. Mm-hmm. But later, I saw him walking with the police.
Yeah, well, really.
So,
soon as somebody says you don't have to be afraid, that's right when you have to worry, I think.
well, we got a surprise guest today.
Oh, I love surprises.
Oh, yes.
Love.
Take it away. Well, we have a surprise for you today in the studio. We have none other than old friend Steve Zarate, who is listed on Kaleidoscope as a member of the production team.
I do help out once in a while, it's true.
And that is because we play his song so often, the public access song, which I believe he was going to play last in his series of playings today. Is there another word for playings?
Selections, maybe.
Selections today. Steve,
Well-
I knew him in the old, I don't know when I first met you, maybe at Linda Hiller's house.
Late 80s, early 90s, something like that.
Very long ago.
Yes, and as Nan well knows, right when the station was getting started, I came up and she shot, I don't know, about an hour's worth of footage of me sitting on a couch playing. And one of the reasons I did it is because I'd just written that song. And shoot, yeah, it's true. I was going to save it for last, but why not start off the show with that one? You want to do that one?
Okay.
Want to get it going?
All right.
Song I wrote called Some Public Access, and some of you might have, I went away to Alaska for 5 years, from 92 to 97. When I came back, people said, "You're the guy who does that song on the public." That you must have played it over and over for years. I don't know how many years, but here's an updated version. Here we go. I was feeling low down, dirty and mean, 'cause I'd been working deep inside the big machine. Tried to find some honest answers on the television box, but nobody there would listen. They just talk, 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 until one night, quite by accident, I found, while remotely flipping channels all around, it was my friend from down the street, and he was sitting on a couch. He was playing his guitar, and he was letting it all hang out. And he sang, "You can do it too. You can do what I'm doing. You can put your message on community TV. Get yourself some public access. You won't hardly need to practice. Just believe in what you're saying and your creativity." Now, with all the foolishness that's going down today, there's lots of things that I've been meaning to say. There's only so long you can hold it in before you pop your cork, but we can't all be David Letterman and broadcast from New York. And so I went to see my guitar playing neighbor, and I said, "What is this public access deal where you labor?" And he said, "Here, you take this camera out and document your views. Bring us footage when you're ready. You're on opposite the news." And then he sang, "You can do it too. You can do what I'm doing. You can put your message on community TV. Get yourself some public access. You won't hardly need to practice. Just believe in what you're saying and your creativity." Oh, well, I went and shot 3 pussycats, 2 paper boys, 1 mailman, a woman and her children walking to the park and back, an older couple strolling, and a pack of rowdy boys. Then I mixed it all together with some slides and happy noise. Ha! Now, not everyone has cable, I know, so not everyone can see my little show. But who knows? There might be one sad person all alone somewhere, out there flipping through the channels, wondering if nobody cares, and perhaps they accidentally find me. And just maybe hear me singing on TV. Whoa! And then they'll say I don't have to focus on the networks anymore. I'll go get some public access just to even up the score. Because you can do it too. You can do what we're doing. You can put your message on community TV. Get yourself some public access. You won't hardly need to practice. Just believe in what you're saying and your creativity. I'll get yourself some public access. You won't hardly need to practice. Just have faith in what you're saying and you are creativity.
Oh, marvelous,
Oh,
marvelous,
thank you,
marvelous.
Pam, yeah.
I love it. That's such a meaty song.
Meaty. Wow, I've never heard that before. Yeah. Okay. Well, what I love about it, I mean, not to pat myself too hard. This is like me 21 years ago who wrote it, or 23, whatever. The guy starts out like not knowing what he's going to do, and he looks on TV and sees somebody else, and at the end, he was on TV talking to somebody else who now sees him. You know, you can just like get inspired that easily. I wonder how many people have watched you on TV and thought, I can do what Nan's doing. I want to get a camera.
Well, I wish they'd not only get a camera, but come in here.
And work with you, collaborate.
Do
Well,
that
anybody
on
out there,
program.
if you want to, you know, this is a great place to get creative and come up to the channel and get involved.
And it's very therapeutic.
Is it?
Yes, yes. Gives you a challenge. Challenge every day.
Well, good.
And you've got, I don't know the order you're going to sing in, but I feel ready for a Christmas carol.
Oh, you want to go right there? We could do that. Okay. Well, that's funny she'd say that. I did write a song that's, I guess you'd call it a parody because the melody you're going to recognize, but I need to preface this one just to tell you people who love Christmas music that I do too. I really do. Bottom of my heart, I really do. I play a lot of Christmas music every December around Athens, and I play a lot of instrumental things, you know, like I love these melodies. There's gorgeous things to play of the Christmas music variety, and yet something like, I guess 7 years ago, I got inspired to rewrite Jingle Bells, basically, because comes a point of oversaturation. I'm going to try to let the song do this talking for me, but sometimes Christmas music is a little too much. There's the way it's played. And the other thing is how it's missing for 11 months, and then it's suddenly everywhere, and then it's gone again. So here's a little commentary on that. They'll all be done with all those stupid songs. They'll go back on the shelf, back where they belong. 11 blissful months with nary a one in sight. What fun it soon will be to hear no Christmas songs tonight. No Christmas songs on the intercom, no holly jolly schlock. Now it's time for bluegrass, reggae, country, blues, and rock. No rumpa-pum-pums or fa-la-la-las, and Rudolph's not around. Mommy's not with Santa Claus, 'cause Santa's done left town. If you sing the first Noel in March or May or June, everyone will think you're nutty as a loon. But moments after midnight on that big black shopping day, they'll permeate the airwaves until just like me you'll say, no Christmas songs on the intercom, no holly jolly schlock. Now it's time for Zydeco and deep fried southern rock. No rumpa-pum-pums or fa-la-la-las and frosties on the ground. Mom's not kissing Santa Claus 'cause Santa's done left town. You can let your sleigh bells ringle. Try that again. You can let your sleigh bells jingle and go rock around a tree. Any old time of year, that's perfectly cool with me. But after 30 days nonstop of Yule tunes making spirits bright, it's time for something different on this holy silent night. No Christmas songs on the intercom, no holly jolly schlock. Now it's time for gospel, jazz, calypso, punk, folk, rock. No rumpa-pum-pums or fa-la-las. Heads up, Charlie Brown. Mom's not down with Santa Claus 'cause Santa's done left town. I don't mean to be no Scrooge, to all a good Noel. Solstice, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, and New Year's Eve as well. But isn't it strange how tunes you'll never hear are suddenly everywhere? For 30 days before they slip away into thin air. No Christmas songs on the intercom, no holly jolly schlock. Now it's time for paranormal psychedelic rock. No rumpa-pum-pums or fa-la-las. Eggnog supplies are down. Mom's not doing Santa Claus 'cause Santa's done left town. Sort of the anti-Christmas song, Christmas song.
Oh, that's marvelous. That is just wonderful.
like it?
Boy, being a songwriter sure helps with being a guitarist, doesn't it?
How do you mean that?
Well, I mean, a lot of people just have to sing other people's songs,
Oh, yeah.
and you're the real thing.
Well, it's nice to have a way to express myself sometimes I mean, when I was very young, Elton John and Bernie Taupin were my heroes. Elton, of course, wrote all the music for those songs, and Bernie wrote all the words, and I just thought I wanted to be more like, say, Jackson Browne or Bob Dylan or Neil Young to write both, and I managed to have some guitar talent and some writing ability, so I put them together, and
That is great.
it's just, you've heard many other creative people talk about this, but the beauty of songwriting is when something doesn't exist and then a half hour later, there it does. It's like, you write it, you play it, and you're just overjoyed that you made something that you can share with people.
Oh,
That's the beauty
good.
of it, I guess.
And you do share it a lot.
Well, I try. I've been playing a lot of gigs around Athens and
Yeah.
Nelsonville and Logan and other places.
Different
lately.
venues. That's a new word I learned.
Venues, indeed.
Right. Yes.
Well, Nan, I play a lot of nursing homes, and those are very fun gigs.
Oh, really?
Oh, the Kimes and Hickory Creek and Lindley and kind of places around here, and the Laurels I've been able to play at. And I just love the people in them. They're very receptive, and we sing a lot of great old songs. And then I also play places like Rhapsody and the OUN around here for quite a while. And really love playing to this area and the people around here. I play in the Hocking Hills a lot, too. The
Oh, you
Dining
do?
Lodge up there. Have you ever been to the Dining Lodge or the Lake Hope Dining Lodge? I've played those places.
And that Eclipse, you seem to be regular there.
Clubs, you said? Well, a few places uptown, if that's what you mean.
Eclipse.
Eclipse. Oh, well, there's a place, true. She said Eclipse. In the Plains, there's a little section called Eclipse. Kaiser's Barbecue. I've been playing all summer, say that again, all summer, every Sunday for brunch. And I love that place. That's really fun. Yeah. Hopefully
Great.
people will come out and see me sometime.
Yeah. We did. I ran in the, I don't know if it was the mud run or what, but they had a run out there at the Eclipse, and my daughter drugged me there, and I ran, and we went inside afterwards, and you were playing, and
That's right. I saw you recently at the Eclipse.
and I asked you to play the public access song, and first you said, "Oh no." And then after I don't know how many years of not having played it, you played the whole thing perfectly and remember the words. You got a good memory.
Oh, well, I burned that one in my head pretty good, I guess, at some point in the past. It was an important song, so I had to learn it.
You told me you brought a song, what was that song, let's just can we go to the cell phone?
Want to go to that one? All right, I was thinking of
I
ending with
remember that one.
Sure. I think I'd like to do that in a minute, but I want to play this one first called Baloney. That's the one
Oh
that I
yeah,
told you about.
baloney, okay.
Now, I don't want to make a big speech about it. Let the song talk for itself. But the thing is, I'm part of a songwriter group with some people who get together, and sometimes we do a thing where somebody says a word, and the idea is sometime the next week, go write a song where that word is somewhere in the song. And don't have to labor at it too hard. Get it done within an hour. If it's no good, it's no good. But if it's good, sometimes you get one. And one week the word was baloney, and I happened to see a video about these people in Congress who think that humans have nothing to do with the Earth's changes and things like that. So basically, here is the world's first anti-global warming denialist song. Dedicated respectfully to all you global warming denialists. And before you dismiss me, why don't you listen to the song? Go right ahead, pretend there's no connection between all these tornadoes and floods and droughts and storms. Never cap your poisons, consider no correction. Prioritize the mighty buck and cherish all your norms. Ignore each shred of evidence that proves we're on the wrong track, that climate's really changing and humans are involved. Focus on your sports events and tune into the same hack who tells you global warming's just a smokescreen he's resolved. Meanwhile, back in the real world, your denial feels phony. You act like you're dishing out prime rib. It's more like you're pushing baloney. Never mind that polar caps and glaciers keep receding. Fail to pay attention to oceans on the rise. Avoid unpleasant scientists who say the earth is bleeding. Speak of isolated incidents and all that implies. Invent your own new physics and worship all your idols. Celebrate your empire and your ultimate sacrifice. Gorge yourself on fossil fuels, imagine you're entitled, and act like your descendants will never pay the price. Meanwhile, back in the real world, your denial feels phony. You act like you're dishing out prime rib. I think you're pushing baloney. You can't stick a feather in your cap. Go on, call it macaroni, and act like you're dishing out prime rib. I say you're pushing baloney. Oh, baloney. What that song's about. Well, I think it's
Very
important
good.
to stand up and say things like that. That you know that I don't know. I don't
Well, I
want to
do
mean
too.
to upset anybody in my audience, but I do think that fossil fuels only have so much time left. You know, it's time to change towards healthier ways. And I just want everybody out there to be healthy. That's all I'm saying, including everybody in the oil industry.
Right, we
Healthy,
did
healthy,
play
healthy.
on Kaleidoscope. We didn't have the sound, but you were singing out in the plain, the river plain, I guess, with some people with skulls and
Oh, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
fracking.
It's true. I went out to a rally and sang some songs for some people who were getting arrested for protesting the fracking business. I just think it's a very dangerous practice, and if I could help inspire them with a little bit of "We Shall Overcome" or whatever we sang that day, you know, I was game. I don't know. I just did you hear the news that there was just 300 people evacuated in wherever Jefferson, Ohio, or Jefferson County, Ohio is? There's just some brand new news yesterday of some fracking experiment going badly in a gaseous cloud of methane or something, and people had to be evacuated. Not far from here, I don't know exactly where, but it just seems fraught with danger, and the solar power is free, is what I think, if you just install the equipment. You know, it's just there, and it doesn't hurt anything. But I don't mean to make this into a big, long
You don't mean
speech
to
by
what?
me. I don't mean to, like, go on and on about it. It's just one, you know.
It's okay with me.
Well, can I tell you what my one issue is? If anybody out there is watching who really supports coal workers, I want you to know, like, my personal opinion is this. And I once put an article in the Athens News saying so, that I think the thing is, like I just said, I think fossil fuels are going to inevitably be phased out because A, they're finite, there's only so much of them, and B, there's pollutive aspects that are, you know, all that carbon in the atmosphere. So as this inevitable shift moves towards renewables like solar power and wind and geothermal and other ways that are not so deadly and threatening, I think that the people who worked in the coal mines should be prioritized for jobs in the new solar industry or wind industry or whatever it is. Make sure that it's not so much that it's the coal practices that are being phased out, not so much them and their livelihoods. I say involve them in the future and make sure they are taken care of and given high priority, educated, retrained, whatever it is to work in these new places. That way, you know, there'll be a maybe some little more cooperation with the idea of that it's not that we don't want you to have jobs, we just don't want you to have those kind of jobs anymore because they're dangerous to the
That's a great
community at
idea.
large.
That's a great idea.
If they were given respect and treated like they're going to be taken care of and their children will, then I think things might not be so, you know, tense all the time. But
That's a
my 2
great
cents.
idea.
Thank you.
Good for you.
I'd like to see positive things like that happen, you know. Bridge the community gaps and things, you know. That said, shall we move on to another song?
All right.
Can we? I have something a little less controversial to play. This one I think we can all agree on. This is about living in Ohio in the wintertime. Or really anywhere north. It's called Cold Life in the North. I'll take this off for a second. It's kind of about February, but it's about a little more. It goes like this. 2, 3. It's the longest short month, it comes year after year. It makes me so happy when it disappears. Days flash by drearily, and nights are so long, and morning starts eerily with all the birds gone. People move slower, and nothing much grows because everything's frozen and covered in snows that arrive inconveniently and ruin our plans. So people move slower in these northern lands. It's cold life in the north. In these troubled times, February has always been cold in these climes. Someday global warming might burn this town down, but for now it's cold life in the north. It seems like forever, but in just a few weeks, a new sprout will push up and take a few peeks at a brightening landscape. And people in shorts who've been toughened by winter and cold life in the north. It's cold life in the north. These troubled times, February has always been cold in these climes. Someday global warming might burn this deal down, but for now it's cold life in the north. In these troubled times, February has always been cold in these climes. Someday global warming might melt this town down, but for now it's cold life in the north. Got to deal with cold life in the north.
And when did you write that?
Oh,
And February?
February 25th, 2008, Athens, Ohio. Yeah, that's right. But, you know, I listen to a lot of Prairie Home Companion. Do you know that show on the public
Sure.
radio? And
Uh-huh.
Garrison, the host, is often talking about how winter makes you tough. That it's the great benefit of it, that you have to, especially for Minnesotans, I imagine, deal with such a long, intense winter, the constant snow. But that gives meaning to life somehow, or it makes you more alive, makes you able to handle adversity. I think we can handle adversity around here, okay. You know, unless there's a derecho, then we don't know what to do, right? Then people are like, oh, but I digress. Anyway, you know, that's as long as I've been in Athens, it's been cold in the February. It's really
Right,
cold.
right.
And the line that makes it for me is it's the longest short month. It's only 28 days. It's the shortest month, but it feels like the longest month because it's just day after day of when will it end. But then it gets to March, and I'm like, okay, it's ending. I say that with happiness because I was born in March, so I kind of relate. But
You must
time
have
of year.
written a happy summer song at some point, but I know that you're not
it's true.
planning to sing it today.
I don't know. I'd have to go. I have over 200 songs. I'd have to search and figure out which one fits that kind of.
Wow.
I won't do it now, but I wrote a song called Beam of Light where I was sitting in the Nelsonville Public Square. It was like the shops were closed and I was just sitting into one of their little foyers or opening, you know, right in front of their door. And I just saw what a pretty May day it was, and I wrote a song called Beam of Light basically about how pretty Nelsonville Public Square was right that minute.
Oh.
So maybe next time we'll do something like that. I
Okay.
always thought maybe I'd get back to that one you asked for, the cell phone song to end
There
with.
will be a next time.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. Thank you for having me on to talk with you. Thank you, Nan.
Thanks for coming.
And thanks to the station, too. Shall I go into the cell phone song? Give that one a
Yeah.
round? Okay. This one, I don't know when it got written, about 2005 or 6 or something. People said, you know, now by now it's 2014, right? And the phenomenon of cell phones being ubiquitous is well known. Everybody sees them all. But this was maybe 10 years ago, 8 years ago, when people were just getting used to the fact that the college students constantly had them up to their ears. Somebody said, you should write a song. And I thought about all the things I'd overheard people say as they walk around the town, and I made this one up. 2, 3, 4. Why do I gotta hear you talking when I'm walking down the street with your cell phone up to your head, saying I'll be there in about 5 minutes when you might as well not call and walk a little faster? I mean, seriously. And why do we gotta hear your one-way chatter when it isn't really any of our business? It makes me wanna echo back every single solitary silly word that you say. Just like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. I was like, duh. She was like, duh. There you go. Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. Did you see what she wore? She got it at the store. Oh, what a bore. Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. Half-price pictures. I wish that I was richer. But then again, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. And why is this guy repeating every word that I say? What's up with that? Sure, a cell phone's good to have around in case you get into a wreck and you need to call emergency personnel. And sometimes they can be good for your business, like when you need to check on messages that really are important. But even though you're standing right there in front of me, still it seems as though your mind's about 1,000,000 miles away. And I don't know why you won't pay closer attention to the beauty of the moment while you're yakking away oblivious. Still you're saying, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. I was like, whoa. She was like, whoa, there you go. Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. I think that he was drunk. No doubt he's such a hunk, but kind of a punk. Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. I'll be there any second. Another call just beckoned. Totally, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. And why is this guy repeating every word that I say? Hang on, I've got call waiting. Okay, I'm back, it was just my mom. She's wondering about my prospects, but I'm just wondering if spring break is gonna be the bomb. I hear it will be. Just as soon we confiscate them all and blow a huge pile of cell phones into smithereens. And the only way that we would ever talk to one another would be on private lines and face to face without machines, especially the ones used by the people yakety yakking while they're driving. It's a wonder that they're even still alive. They're such a menace. In Venice they might throw them overboard, but not me. I know the pen's still mightier than the sword, so I'm like, oh my God, you're totally clueless, erecting such a barrier, depending on a carrier. You know what I mean? Oh my God, you're awesomely clueless. She's talking in the stall like she thinks she's in the mall. I'm truly appalled. Oh my God, you're bitchingly clueless. Strange looks all the time from strangers in the line, and still you whine. Oh my God, I'm totally clueless. And why is this guy repeating every word that I say? Oh my God, that's my ringtone. I gotta get this. Excuse me, audience. I'll be right back. Hello? Well, I'm at the public access channel singing about this. I know. Listen, they're waiting for the end. I gotta go. Okay, I'll be there. I'll be there in like 10 seconds. 8 seconds. I gotta go. They're waiting. Okay, bye. Sorry about that, y'all. 2, 3, 4. Oh my God! Oh my God! These dang things are everywhere. You can't get rid of them.
Really get into this.
Not a real phone, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Well, I want to let people know that that particular song, I do have some CDs out, and just want to let you know they exist is the basic thing. This one here is called Silver Linings, and it has that song that we just did. So hold it right for the camera. Silver Linings. And here's Live at the Blue Room, which I just put out a couple of Augusts ago. No, I guess in 2013 I did. This was from a show I did in Nelsonville live in front of some people. And this is my first record called Homecoming, which I made in Alaska back in the mid-90s. So just find me somewhere, find me on Facebook. Some of them are available at Hoffa's in White's Mill, and hope to see you somewhere.
Are available where?
Well, at Hoffa's, uptown, they've got a couple of those available, I think. I know they have some Live at the Blue Rooms right now, this one. And White's Mill also sells it. Do you know that
Really?
little place
Sure.
where you can get grains and seeds and things?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They have a little store, and they sell local music.
All right.
So I want people to know about it.
Very good. Well, I'm excited to hear that you're willing to come back.
Oh, you bet. Sure. Anytime. Anytime. For an old friend like you, you bet. A young friend like you.
Well, I guess we're kind of cramped for time right now, and I've been told to talk fast, and I have trouble talking fast. But I wanted to comment on the health worker who's quarantined to her house, and I think she must be somewhat obstructive. That is a personality. There's another word for it, but anyway, but she is so beautiful.
She is, yeah.
I was thinking maybe she wanted some national coverage so somebody would, a Hollywood scout would get her, because every picture on there is more beautiful. She is just gorgeous. So anyway, we're going to a precious quote that I got from an older video by David Cobb, who spoke in Athens not long ago.
That I can remember what it was like when I could say I was a proud and patriotic American with no other qualifier. And for me, quite honestly, that's when I was a little boy. When I was taught that I was from the United States of America, the land of the free and the home of the brave, that my country stood for liberty, justice, and equality. And not only that, but my country was like some great shining light on the hill that would guarantee liberty, justice, and equality for the entire world. Man, I was so proud to be from that country. Now, as a little boy, I'm not going to pretend for a second that I understood all of the philosophical implications of that, but I did know this, that it meant somehow that I was from a country and from a people who were fair, who were just, who were decent. And when I grew up, I realized I had been lied to. Now, I want to be clear, it's not the kind of lie that you might be thinking about, because I can remember Mrs. Armstrong, my 5th grade teacher. Any 5th grade teacher or any public school teachers at all here in the crowd? I don't think that we as a society and as a community, thank our public school teachers enough. And I always like to remember Mrs. Armstrong because she was a good one. She did not go to bed at night saying, I can't wait till those children come into school so I can fill their mind full of lies and propaganda about this country. No! Mrs. Armstrong was a public school teacher because she wanted to teach children. She wanted to help children to become productive members of society. She wanted to help children learn how to think. And, you know, she was a damn good woman, and she was a fine school teacher. And I submit to you that the reason she was effective is because she believed the creation myth that she was telling us. And that it worked on me as a child, and many of you, I'm seeing you nod your heads in the crowd, it worked on you because you wanted to believe it. You see, I'll submit to you that it is our birthright, that we want to live in a society that's based on individual liberty and freedom, and that we want to live in justice, and we want to live sustainably with the natural world. That's what we want, and that's what we deserve. And may I suggest to you that we want those things not because we're Americans, but because we're human beings. And further, I'll suggest that Iraqi children want that too. Children in the Congo want that. Icelandic children want that. You see, those are human values. And if we can actually get our heads around the idea that we really are sisters and brothers in this, that we share some core human values, and that what we not only want, but what we deserve is human freedom, and we deserve justice, and we deserve sustainability, and we deserve the power to create our own lives, then I think we'll be honest.
I remembered the word for the healthcare worker, and instead of objectionable, it is oppositional. Doesn't seem to me like it would be that big a deal. She could make a joke out of it all and write all these letters and jokes about being tied into the house. But anyway, it's time for us to say what I do.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Or auf Wiedersehen. You could say that.
What does a do mean?
Goodbye. Farewell.
Goodbye.
Farewell.
Goodbye. Farewell.
Goodbye. Farewell. And all that stuff. Yeah. Well, Athens, I hope that you have a good week coming up and enjoyed the program, and we'll see you next week.
Right.
With more to talk about.
Right.
Bye. Adieu. Au revoir.